Hello and welcome to the Carl H. Linder College of Business. Today we're going to explore academic integrity, which is your commitment to excellence. In this training, we will cover the Student Code of Conduct, Linder's academic policy, and examples of academic misconduct as they relate to you, a student here at the Linder College of Business. Students at the Linder College of Business should familiarize themselves with the Student Code of Conduct and are expected to follow the academic integrity and honor pledge contained within. As a student, be sure to read this pledge as well as the definitions for academic misconduct. Ignorance of these definitions is not considered an excuse and will not prevent you from facing consequences for violating them. Failure to follow the academic integrity rules posted in the Student Code of Conduct can result in dismissal from the college. The Linder College of Business enforces a strict two strikes policy. 2 academic violations will result in dismissal from the college. The process for academic misconduct is as follows. Students will be reported by faculty directly to the university. Students will be afforded due process for allegations as outlined in the Student Code of Conduct. If a second occurrence is validated, the student will be dismissed from the college. To better help you understand the academic misconduct definitions within the Code of Conduct, we will present a series of scenarios that you may encounter in your time at UC. The following scenarios include examples of academic misconduct, such as aiding and abetting, cheating, fabrication, plagiarism, and violating ethical or professional standards. Scenario 1. Tom and Emily have taken several classes together over the last 3 years and often study together for exams in their classes. Emily does quite well in her exams, but Tom often struggles with the material. While taking an exam in their marketing class, Tom and Emily sit together as they always do. During the exam, Tom is having difficulty with a few of the questions, and he knows that Emily has the correct answers for each question. Tom is able to glance over at Emily's test without her knowledge and use her answers for his exam. This is a classic violation of the Code of Conduct, which defines obtaining assistance with or answers to examination questions from another person with or without that person's knowledge as cheating. Because Emily is unaware of what Tom is doing, she will not be in violation of the Code of Conduct. Now suppose that Emily notices that Tom is having some difficulty with one section of the exam. She feels bad for Tom and knows how much work he has done to do well in the class. She slides her exam farther away from her so that Tom will have access to her answers. This would mean that Emily was now also in violation of the Code of Conduct, which defines furnishing assistance with or answers to examination questions to another person as cheating. Put yourself in the position of the professor. Which student is involved in the cheating? How difficult would it be to tell? In many cases, the professor will be forced to make a decision on what he or she sees in the class, meaning that Emily may be considered to be cheating even if she is innocent, and the verdict will be left to a college hearing panel. For this reason, we recommend that you inform the professor anytime that you notice someone cheating off of your exam. Scenario 2. Mike is completing a finance class where students are allowed to use a financial calculator when completing exams. On exam day, Mike realizes he forgot his financial calculator, so quickly downloads an app for his smartphone. As he's working on the exam, he uses the app when he needs to do his calculations and never uses any other app on his smartphone. Unfortunately for Mike, he is guilty of a violation of the Code of Conduct. The Code of Conduct defines use or possession of an unauthorized material or technological device during an examination as cheating. It doesn't matter that Mike did not use his smartphone to find answers to the exam questions. Simply having the unauthorized smartphone out during the exam means that Mike is guilty of cheating. In this case, Mike should have checked with the instructor to determine if he was authorized to use the smartphone during the exam. Scenario 3. Alexis is early to her afternoon class and notices that a thumb drive has been left in the classroom. In hopes of finding the owner and returning the thumb drive, she plugs it into her laptop and looks through the files. She determines that the drive belongs to her accounting professor and that it contains all of the exams for the class. Alexis realizes that she can use these exams to study for the class and will be able to get good grades even if the professor writes new exams for the semester. She then copies the exams to her laptop. This is a classic case of cheating. The Code of Conduct defines obtaining unauthorized access to the computer files of another person or agency as cheating, and Alexis would be in violation. However, what if Alexis never uses the exams and never copies them to her laptop? If instead Alexis puts the thumb drive in her backpack and forgets about it, she may also be in violation of the Code of Conduct, which considers possessing, using, distributing, or selling unauthorized copies of an examination to be cheating. For this reason, we recommend that any unauthorized examinations that you find be presented to the professor as soon as possible. Scenario 4. Jordan is writing a paper about Kroger for a class and finds a great page on the company's website that describes the history of the company. He reads the page and writes the history section of the paper using the information that he's found, but doesn't cite the web page as the source of the information. After all, Jordan thinks this is all common knowledge information that you can get from any number of sources. Unfortunately for Jordan, this is still a violation of the Code of Conduct, which defines submitting another's published or unpublished work in whole, in part, or in paraphrase as one's own without fully and properly crediting the authors as plagiarism. Even though all of the words are his own, Jordan has presented facts and statistics that were obtained from a source, and thus is paraphrasing that source. To avoid plagiarism, Jordan needs to cite the web page. Scenario 5. While writing a paper for her sales class, Ruchi finds a very good quote in an article online. She puts the quote in her paper and even puts quotations around it, but she forgets to cite the article as the source. While this may be an obvious mistake, Ruchi is still in violation of the Code of Conduct, which defines submitting as one's own original work, material obtained from an individual, agency, or the internet without reference to the person, agency, or web page as the source of material as plagiarism. It is possible that Ruchi's professor will take pity on her and let her add the citation to the paper and resubmit it. But if this is reported to the college, it would be a clear-cut case of academic misconduct. For this reason, we recommend that you make sure to cite any information that you use from your sources. Scenario 6. Maya and Chris are taking the same international business class and decide to work on their papers together. They sit next to each other in the same computer lab and write their papers at the same time. The papers are on different topics, but whenever one of them is having difficulty with the same portion of their paper, they brainstorm ideas with the other. While many students may consider this collaboration to be perfectly acceptable, it is a violation of the Code of Conduct, which defines submitting as one's own original work material that has been produced through unacknowledged collaboration with others as plagiarism. It is possible that the professor for the class is willing to allow students to collaborate in this way on papers, but it's also possible that they want you to work individually. The only way to be sure to avoid academic misconduct in this case is to get your professor's permission before writing the paper and to properly cite your collaborator for any ideas which came from them directly. Scenario 7. Jen is taking a class on business strategy and is required to submit a written assignment on the supply chain of a business. In a previous operations management class, Jen wrote a paper on the supply chain management that P&G uses in Europe. He makes minor changes to this paper and submits it for the business strategy assignment. Unfortunately for Jen, this is a violation of the Code of Conduct, which defines submitting one's own previously written or oral work without modification and instructor permission as plagiarism. It doesn't matter that the original paper is entirely Jen's original words, and the paper meets the requirements of this new assignment. In order to be able to submit this paper again, Jen needs to obtain his professor's permission and get instructions from the professor on how much modification he needs to do to the paper in order for it to be acceptable. Scenario 8. When writing the rough draft for her paper, Gabby found a great online article on the topic and used information from the article throughout the paper. Gabby planned to add all of her citations to the paper later when she went over it to create the final copy for submission. Unfortunately, when Gabby went back to finish the paper at a later time, she could not find the online article. She created a bibliography entry and a set of citations for the article from memory, guessing at the title of the article and the author's name. Gabby would be in violation of the Code of Conduct, which defines the falsification of any information, research statistics, lab data, or citation in academic exercise as fabrication. If Gabby's professors were to look up her cited article and fail to find it, she would be liable for academic misconduct. Make sure that all of the information that is presented in any submitted work can be supported by sources that are easy to locate. As always, we thank you for choosing the Linder College of Business as your place of study. For additional questions related to the academic integrity policies, please contact the Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards located at the Steger Student Life Center at 556-6814. Thank you.